Mari is a character whom viewers have gotten to know better in the third season of Yellowjackets. She is very divisive, being someone people tend to love or hate, and there's not much room in between. Season 3 has so far introduced us to far more information on her character and some of the emotional trauma she experienced in her childhood, much like many of the other survivors. We learned that she had a younger cousin who died of cancer as a child while watching Eureka's castle, and Mari had been in the hospital room at the time. This event stuck with Mari and transformed how she views the world. She believes there may be two realities, though most of us are only aware of the one we're in. This seems to be commentary on many of the themes in Yellowjackets and offers further context to the ideas the writers of the series are playing with. The wilderness appears to be an axis point, somewhere where the veil is thin and realities may merge, or you might be able to tap into the other world. We have seen things like this in Yellowjackets on several occasions. For example, when Jackie froze to death outside, she had a death vision of returning to the cabin, where Lottie gave her a cup of hot chocolate as Shauna comforted her. But soon after, the hunter appeared in the doorway, telling her they'd been waiting for her. On another occasion, when Shauna was giving birth, she blacked out and had a near-death experience guided by the voice of Jackie, a vision where she had given birth to a healthy baby boy and nursed him at her breast. Further into the dream, however, she found her baby was missing, and when she searched for him, she found the other Yellowjackets consuming his body. When she woke up, she learned her baby had been stillborn. These dreams seem very real, and this causes a lot of confusion and anger. Shauna has trouble differentiating her dreams from reality, which causes her to lash out at any and everyone. When Akilah, Van, and Shauna all experience a shared dream or hallucination together in the cave during another near-death experience, they collectively saw Jackie and played the slap bracelet game. Afterward, Shauna tried to play it off, saying the dream was only a 6 out of 10 on the crazy dream scale, but compared to the dream she had while in labor, yeah, I guess I can agree with her analysis of that one. Akilah later tells Lottie that the dream felt real, like the truth, and she's ready to go deeper, with Lottie as her guide. Mari and Shauna have had an interesting dynamic throughout the third season where Mari has become extremely antagonistic towards Shauna, inciting her to lash out in anger. During the solstice feast, Shauna spit in Mari's food, which led Shauna to knocking her to the ground. Mari left the feast and walked away into the woods that night all alone. What she didn't know was that Coach Ben had discovered a pit dug in the woods where he found a stash of emergency supplies and MREs. He hauled the treasure back to his cave and set up the pit as a trap for wild game in the forest. As Mari wandered the woods in anger, she walked right into his trap and fell into the deep hole, dislocating her knee. Ben found her soon after and coached her on popping her knee back into place. He lowered a ladder to get her out, but once she was above ground, he tied her up and led her back to his cave. Mari pleaded with Coach, telling him she never believed he burned down the cabin and he could let her go and she wouldn't tell the others where he was hiding. But Coach doesn't trust the girls after seeing what they had done to Javi's body. Mari explained that they don't do that anymore and began threatening him until Coach walked up and served her a steaming mug of hot chocolate, which she gulped down gloriously and graciously. After over a year of being stranded out there, it was the first taste of sugary comfort she had experienced since her mile of fruit by the foot on the plane ride. The cave itself has a lot of symbolic purpose in the story, aside from being an alternative shelter for the survivors. The cave is a hermitage, a place of solitude and isolation. In the modern colloquial use, a hermit denotes anyone living apart from the rest of society or having withdrawn from society for any reason. From a religious perspective, the hermit is one called by God in imitation of Jesus to live a life of unceasing prayer and penance in the silence and solitude for the praise of God and the salvation of the world. Plato's allegory of the cave explores philosophical thought of truth and how those with different experiences or backgrounds may perceive it. The cave represents a false reality, and only by choosing to leave the cave can one ascend in thought to understand and perceive the higher levels of reality. The cave might also be seen as a symbolic descent into the underworld, and those who emerge again from the cave are thereafter transformed into psychopomps, or a guide who escorts souls of the dead to the afterlife. And we should be reminded, one should never eat food of the underworld, as Persephone taught us, for it binds your soul to the realm of Hades forever, preventing you from returning to the land of the living. Mari and Coach Ben share a lot of parallels with Jackie and Javi, and both of them undergo a metamorphosis into someone who guides the souls of the dead to their destination. Jackie appears to Shauna as a warning when she has a few near-death experiences where someone might get hurt. When Natalie died in season 2, it was not Travis who appeared to her in her death vision on the plane, but Javi, telling her there's nothing to be afraid of. Leading up to Jackie's death, she refused to eat the shroom stew during Doomcoming, which was served to her by Shauna. She got into a fight with Shauna and left the group to go sleep outside, covered by a blue blanket. She never woke up, and during her death dream she was served hot chocolate, surrounded by her teammates with love, and the hunter appeared to guide her soul to the afterlife. Mari refused to eat her stew after Shauna spit in it, which led to the two of them fighting. Mari left the group and wandered into the forest, where she fell into the pit, which eventually led her to the cave. 2 descents. When she enters the cave, the symbolic underworld, she is served hot chocolate, and later a meal of bat meat, which she begrudgingly eats. The parallels with the events leading up to Jackie's death are extremely clear up to this point. Eventually, Coach releases Mari, where she returns to the group, and they cover her up with the same blue blanket Jackie slept beneath on her last night on Earth. She immediately tells the group where the cave is located. However, you can tell Mari is regretful of the witch hunt on Coach Ben after spending time in isolation with him, and when he is held on trial, Mari confesses she doesn't truly believe that Coach would have tried to kill them. Leading up to Javi's death, he ate the stew during Doomcoming, but was scared off by the maniac antics of the girls. He ran away in the night and found a cave to hide in, as the first snows of winter fell the following night. He stayed in the cave but was eventually discovered by Ty and Van, and he returned to the cabin but refused to speak to anyone. He only spoke to Coach Ben once, telling him that she had told him not to return. He also brought with him the Queen of Hearts card, which was missing from the deck at the cabin. Starving, the group resorted to drawing playing cards to dictate a hunt. It chooses. When Natalie drew the Queen of Hearts card, she was the designated prey, but Javi offered to hide her in his cave, and the two ran in that direction. Unfortunately, as they ran across the frozen lake, Javi fell through the ice to his death in exchange for Natalie's sacrifice. Coach's story mirrors the events leading to Javi's death. He ate the shroom stew during Doomcoming, and eventually he later figured out where Javi had been hiding based on his drawings. He moved into the cave after Javi returned to the cabin and struggled to survive through the winter. Like Javi, Coach Ben also begins speaking to someone, but it's unclear if this is the same she that Javi was referring to. Also, could she be related to the She, a race of supernatural beings or fae who are known to dwell in the Hollow Hills in Irish and Scottish mythology? It's worth putting it out there. Coach Ben stays in the cave, although he also returns to the cabin to offer Natalie quarter with him, where he finds they had butchered Javi's body. Of course, Ben was terrified and tried to stay as far away from the girls as possible and claims he had no knowledge the cabin burned down. Ben returned to the cave and dwelt there until Mari fell into his pit, after which he brought her back to his cave for a few days. So, there are certainly some strong connections between these characters and their story arcs. But one interesting idea that's been raised surrounds Coach Ben and Mari's meal of bat meat. Why would they do this when Coach had found the MREs? I can understand if he was trying to hide his stock from Mari to preserve it, but we should not discount that find as a boon from the wilderness, and you never want to disrespect its offerings. Everything is a game of balance in the wilderness. Interestingly, the main vectors of rabies in Canada are foxes, skunks, and bats. And this disease is zoonotic, meaning it transfers from animals to other animals and to humans. While Coach Ben still lived at the cabin back in season 2, he was starving and terrified of the girls, especially after they consumed Jackie's body. Coach did not partake in the feast, singling himself out amongst the group as the other. As Shauna said, he's not one of them, and he judges them. Coach had a vision of Jen crawling towards him, foaming at the mouth. At the time, it seemed nothing more than a hallucination due to hunger, but could it be possible that it was foreshadowing something more important, like his death? Lottie saw visions of her death, Nat saw a vision of Misty, so it's aligned with the storytelling so far. While the synopsis of episode 5, titled "Did Ty Do That?" has been kept tightly under wraps, a source leaked a potential description for the episode, though it's still unconfirmed. It states, the Yellowjackets confront the reality of having to pull an Old Yeller. Now, if you haven't seen Old Yeller, you didn't suffer enough as a child. The movie is about a beloved family dog who contracts rabies, and the son must put him out of his misery. If this is truly the synopsis of the episode, well, things are looking pretty bad for the bat eaters, and Ozzy's ice cream won't wash that taste out of your mouth. If Ben and Mari's stories parallel the deaths of Jackie and Javi, we can take comfort in the fact that if they do have rabies, they'll not be consumed by the group because of it. But those are just my thoughts, so let me know yours in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Tune in to the Monday Morning Murder Podcast every Monday, discussing the newest episode of Yellowjackets and much more. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Sexy for this cake. I'm too sexy for this room. Too sexy for these rocks. Too sexy to be murdered.